Hi and welcome to Burke Mountain. As you can see, it is a perfect day for practice. Okay, the rain slowed down a little bit in that I don't think I'll need a boat. I won't be paddling from target to target. It's a little bit wet. All right, but what are we here to do today? We're going to check our axes. Earlier in the week, I realized that I have a natural lean to my bow that I like to hold. So I adjusted my first axis. This is your front post where your sight slides up and down this post. I adjust it by loosening these two screws here, 1, 2, and then I tilted it this way. It doesn't go as much this way as it does go the other way, but I think it goes enough so that when I am aiming, I feel like it's aiming steadier because of my natural hold position, having a slight tilt or cant to it. I can trust that it's going to still land because when I had put my bow in my bow vise, I leveled my bow and I had this level, this first axis leveled first, and then I leveled my second axis, and that's my bubble. So my scope was not tilted up or down. I made sure it was level. And the way you do that on the Shibuya sight is you loosen these two screws, and it's got some laser etching beautifully visible right there. So that gives you a reference as to where you've set up your second axis. Now, knowing that my bubble is perfectly level, I can adjust that first rail, hold my bubble true on the target leveled, and I'm going to get a good shot whether my sight is up here for a close distance or down here for a far distance. But today we're going to be checking our third axis. That's whether this scope is kind of tilted away from you or tilted kind of towards you. When you aim uphill or downhill, if your bow is third axis isn't sitting right in your hand, what you might find is you'll have to torque your bow a little this way or a little this way to get that bubble to slide in the middle when you're pointing it at an angle up and downhill. Mine might be good just trued, and the way I've checked it and set it is by loosening these two screws, and if you look here, there's more laser etching right there, and that allows me to adjust my scope away from me or towards me a little bit. I think if I am hitting to the right, for instance, I've got to move my scope a little bit out because that'll stop me from torquing my bow that way. So we've got some good extreme uphills and downhills here on Burke, and I'm going to take my training partner up and down some muddy slopes today. Good thing I wore my boots. Good thing you wore your boots too. We're going to be fine. All right, let's see how it goes on the course. This is at least a 30-degree angle, kind of downhill. So I'm going to set my feet not square. I'm going to set my feet, I'm going to open them up so I can kind of kick my hips down. I am not somebody who draws level and then hip tilts because I can't do that very well for some extreme angles. So I just sort of set my body just how I can draw down on the target and make sure I'm square. It's a mistake to just sort of look at it and draw down and only just drop your arm because that's going to change the distance of your draw length and it's not going to be strong. Speaking of not being strong, extreme uphill, extreme downhill, you don't get the same back tension. So I have to anchor firmly, and then I'm going to have to activate my trigger. All right, draw on, level my bubble, hard to see. That was a really good shot, and I can trust that shot. Let's walk on down and see it. Up and shoot some more from here, just for practice, but let's go take a look at that one. Now I'm going to have to shoot on some longer distances to see if I'm to the right or to the left. But here, my shot, I knew my bubble was level, I knew I was aimed, I knew I executed it well, and that shot is just high of dead center. Well, here we have an example of shooting off the right from a pretty steep downhill, and these two arrows are just perfectly in line. This one broke a little bit off to the side, but it's still off to the right. Maybe we should try adjusting the third axis, and if this is our third axis and we're hitting to the right, maybe we adjust it out and then that brings us, we target kind of back towards the left. I don't know what you call that, but I'd call that a really good result. Even this shot here is still within the sticker, but a little bit right, but the next two shots were dead center. Okay, I'm hitting a little left. I don't have great back tension. Let me try one more time. Whew. This is steep. Thing about steep shots is you don't have always great back tension. Level bubble. And I think that rose up a little. I think I pushed it up a little, but I know that the shot ran straight. All right, let's go down and see how it went. Is one of our steeper uphill shots. I'm gonna put my foot on this bit of ground up here so I can get angled up a little better. It's got a wire that's running across, but I think my arrow is gonna pass under it. That's for a moving target. When you look at this target, it looks a lot farther, but from this distance, it's actually pretty close. And that just goes to show it's hard to guess uphill. So that's about as good as I can do it at this angle, which is so steep. Doing this from the side so you can see the angle. Wow, that is a steep angle. All right, and let's look at it from here. Okay, so I'm just out of the sticker. I'd be just out of the 10. That'd be an 8. But I've been hitting high all day, which means I need to maybe take a look at my sight tape a little closer, and that's okay. I can do that. So I'm gonna hike out of here and call it a wrap. Burke Mountain, it wasn't raining too bad. The weather was really warm. And regardless of weather, I encourage you to get out there with your bow, get some exercise, get some arrows in, have some fun.